Hi, I'm Jamie, and I am the creator of One World, Your Story, where we bring people together. And right now, we need this more than ever. The murder of George Floyd, the latest of countless Black Americans to be murdered at the hands of police in America, has set off a chain reaction across the United States. People are angry, people are hurt, and rightfully so. We cannot stand by and allow this to continue any longer. It's time to use our voices and bring this conversation out into the open for good. So, join us for this episode of The Floyd Files.
African Americans were, since the beginning, African Americans, the United States built this stereotype or just view that a lot of African Americans were criminals.
Okay. This is a cool setup. I like this.
This is dope.
Okay, so here live with Jonny, the one and only. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for this. This is awesome.
No, thank you. Yeah, so we're here to talk about racism in America. And you just started off by saying thank you to me. Why?
For giving me the opportunity, I don't know, to speak, to reach, people on my platform, people of your platform. I think this is important. I think we need to get this message across to everyone.
What message?
That things need to be changed. Injustice has been going on in the African American community for hundreds of years, and people know what's going on. The government knows it's going on. Everyone knows it's going on. Every protest that has happened we've been trying to do the same thing, get everyone to look at African Americans as equals. And I think with George Floyd and with all the recent, atrocities, I think people are finally starting to listen.
I think people are finally starting, even more than just listening.
Yeah,
starting to proactively go and talk.
Right.
Too.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I'm curious about one thing that you just said really quickly, which I don't know, might seem like an obvious or like kind of trite question, but you said the word African American. I think people are finally. Oh, hang on. I have to mute it on the Facebook. Sorry for anyone who's there. Other ones will get feedback. All right, there we go. Okay, so you said the word African American.
Yeah.
Black or African American?
Black. It's definitely Black. I'm starting to see a lot of, my other African American brothers and sisters say that we're Black as opposed to the word African American a little bit more. So I'm starting to adopt it. And in my opinion, I feel like that's because, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, it's not African American, everybody. I know some of my Black friends who would not consider themselves African American, who would say they were Black,
I mean, okay, because when you say African American, it implies like from Africa.
Right.
Does that resonate with you?
Definitely. With me personally, because I know my ancestors come from Africa. Yes, so I have no problem with myself saying the word African American or Black. I came from Africa. That's my motherland, and yeah.
And like amazing. That's your story.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's every Black person in America's story.
Right.
But for some reason, we've been told that that's the right term. I feel like it's like would be calling every Asian person that I saw Chinese American.
Right.
Which isn't fair. There's so many other places that people come from. So Black. And that's new for you.
Definitely. Yeah. it's new, but it's not new. It's new in terms of in terms of the way of thinking, like that's what you should say. That's what my brothers and sisters want me to say.
Ah,
Um, and so I think we would have to dig a little deeper into my past, into the reason I am the African American I am, as opposed to the reason why other African Americans and who have experienced more police brutality and the things that we're fighting for right now, they've experienced those things a little bit more than me.
yeah. Let's just talk about that
For sure.
because, you know, Jonny and I were talking a little bit before this, and you had said to me, you feel like your experience is different than most, like where you're going to the protests and
Right.
you relate,
Mm-hmm.
but don't necessarily feel it as personally as you said some of your brothers and sisters might feel.
I feel so. I feel it. I know I'm black. I'm black and I'm proud. Right.
As you
That's
should be.
for right all
Cheers.
day. Cheers to that. I'm black and I'm proud. That's what I've known since I was born. Um, I know what it means to be black and proud. I know where my ancestors came from. Um, the so again, I'm solely speaking for myself. Um, I come from a family, of liberals. My father's an attorney. My mother had her own business, so I was in an area where there wasn't as many officers present.
Mm.
Because there were more white people living, next to me. Um, but having said that, like I surrounded myself at school and, kids on the weekend who did live in those African American communities, and just to see how policed they were, and how much more frequent they were getting arrested and had exposure to that.
Mm.
I feel like now is my time to speak up and really like be about it. So and when I say be about it, so my whole life I've been black. Again, I'm black and I'm proud, but I feel like now is the time for me to truly show my white friends, as well as my black friends, who really you know maybe not have thought like, oh, because Jonny does have more white friends than me. Maybe they would have, maybe they thought that, oh, he's not as down as he should be. But I don't know. So that's what I'm looking at this time, is like it's my time to really show who I am.
Interesting. I want to know what it means to be like not down as you should be, because you had white friends. Like, what does that mean?
For sure. So I mean, I'll be like, we are very proud people. Black people we are proud people, as we should. Um, when I was young, sometimes I would get a little bit of backlash because, I did go to all a majority white, all boys private Catholic school. I had to wear a uniform, and my friends who were going to the public school that was majority African American, they would see me and they'd be like, oh, they would call me a token, which is, I hate that word, which is a term, created by this American society, but it is, yeah, it's, I've had to live through that my whole life.
What does that mean, token, for somebody that's listening? And I don't even know if I know what that means, to be honest.
So don't quote me on this. Don't quote me on this, but I've heard that the word token came from like a South Park episode. It was the one black guy, or like on the show,
the token black guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's just what I had to deal with, my whole life. And I know there are so many other African Americans who've had to deal with that. I've a lot of friends who come from other areas of the world who had to deal with that same thing. But that's not saying that, we don't want to be black, because I love being black. I love my culture. I love it. But not no but. And
yeah. And what? Go ahead.
And it's just, this is giving me another platform to show, how I really feel, to really come out and truly show how I feel about being Black.
Which what, if you were to put it into words?
Proud. Like I said, Black and proud.
Proud, period. Yeah.
Period. And emphasize that for the masses.
I love that. Now, okay, you said you were labeled as token by your Black friends?
Yes.
Were you labeled as token by your white friends and peers?
No. I think that just goes back to that culture of being Black and proud. When I'm with, when I'm with Black friends, honestly, sometimes like it's a brotherhood, and it's the same thing when I'm with my white friends. Same thing. It's just that pride of being Black.
Yeah. Is there a difference between hanging out with, and by the way, like, would you say, and I met you through a fellow white friend
for sure
of ours. Sure. And is it, so I only say that because it's like, okay, well, I certainly know some white people that literally do not have any Black friends.
For sure.
And I certainly know some Black people that don't have any white friends.
For sure.
So would you say you're like split 50-50?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it different hanging out with your Black friends versus your white friends?
Not to me at all. But having said that, I know that some of the people in those groups feel some type of way about me having so many white friends, or vice versa, or vice versa.
How do you know that?
Because they've expressed that to me.
Oh, they have?
For sure.
On both sides?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, what do people say? I'm so curious.
I mean, I don't know. Just little comments. little comments. I mean, I don't care to express them, but I mean, those are my brothers. I mean, it just comes down to, those are my brothers, and that's who I am. I was raised not to see color, but I fully understand the injustice that is happening, and when, trust me when I say, none of my white friends have ever taken it like past that line. There's a line. Like, none of my white friends would ever say the N-word in front of me, or anything to that nature. It's always a line. It's, yo, like, invite some of your Black friends.
Oh, you've gotten that said to you.
For sure.
Literally that line.
It's back and forth. I mean, people.
Do your Black friends say invite some of your white friends?
Definitely. So
interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think that means, or why? Like, how does that feel when people say that to you?
I mean, it honestly doesn't feel any type of way, because people are people. People were raised, until you really truly get to know someone, people were raised how they were raised, and people might be ignorant and say stupid stuff and not realize how they come across sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's up to you to educate them. They know what not to say. They know what not to say. The N-word. I'm referring to my white friends. And yeah, I mean, it's just the way I see life. People are how they are, and it's up to you to educate them if you choose to do so. If you're going to continue to surround yourself around that person, educate them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is the responsibility right now of, especially, I'm going to just say, the white community. And I don't know if I'm overstepping, but I feel like calling out the things that we say, because sometimes we know, but a lot of times we don't know.
For sure.
And somebody else around you might know.
For sure.
So calling it out,
right,
we have to do it in a really respectful, loving way. But yeah, it's talking about it. I'm so like, I don't even know how to ask this question, but I'm just, and maybe this is what you were trying to tell me earlier, but it doesn't sound to me like you necessarily personally resonate with the experience of feeling different because you're Black.
I mean, I definitely do. Definitely. I mean, maybe not in terms of the police specifically. I've seen it through my family members, but my life, not through the police. I've realized I'm Black just through the world and where I've been. I mean, people say racist shit all the time. People like will yell out the windows and people, when if I go to a certain restaurant and I'm wearing baggy jeans and I got tattoos, you know what I'm saying, and I got dreads and I walk in there and people will look at me. I see that. And that, I mean, that's where it resonates with me. When I get pulled over by a cop, like I'm nervous, even though it's never happened to me. I know what's happened. And that alone makes me nervous. The color of my skin could get me shot, could get me killed.
So you do feel that
for sure,
no matter what your experience was growing up, there's always that. And you were telling me, like, even as your dad being a DA and your family in law enforcement, what were you telling me that you were still told as a little kid? What'd your parents tell you?
The blacker the berry? The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice?
The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Yeah, we can talk about that, about being proud. No, but about what do you do when you get pulled over? Like, you had to have those conversations.
Oh, yeah. Always don't call me. Always keep your hands on the steering wheel. Always say yes, sir, no, ma'am, or yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Don't make any sudden movements, but at the same time, like, I get all that, but it's corny because that's the way I was raised, and I get it. That's the way, like, I really have to live. But
I don't get it, to be honest. For sure. Sitting here listening to you, because okay, I get it in the sense, like, yeah, knowing all of the shit that happens, I get why your parents would do that,
right?
And why they have to do that,
right?
And that is fucked.
It's fucked up. It don't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense.
And that's what I mean. Why I don't get it. It's like, why does that have to be a conversation? By the way, that was never a conversation with me. It was never a conversation. I have 3 brothers. No. None of them would know what. No. But to you, you get it. That's so normal.
African Americans were since the beginning. African Americans. The United States built this stereotype or just view that a lot of African Americans were criminals. Even if you go back since the beginning, what's that movie that they remade? 12 Years a Slave. No, it wasn't 12 years. It was the first one. What was the first one? Fuck.
Well, I mean, 13. We can even just talk about.
Yeah, watch the documentary 13th. Oh, I'm sorry, on Netflix. I mean, there was a movie back in the day. I forget what it is, but they talk about it on the 13th. That basically they showed Black men as criminals, and there was a major scene of this. There was a white woman who jumped off a cliff.
They were talking about that movie in 13.
Yes, what movie was that?
It came out like literally right after the Civil Rights
movement. Right after the Civil Rights movement.
Something America United. Like,
fuck.
We'll type the name in the comments after.
Yes. But anyway, what he said was absolutely correct. It was a mirror to what the United States was truly like.
Yeah.
And it's still being thought of that way. It's like, honestly, people look at us and think we're big, we're dangerous, we're criminals. And
well, what you're talking about is when they were, slavery had just been abolished.
Right.
Supposedly. Right. But there was still a lot of hatred
for sure
towards the Black community. And so they said, you know what, we can't outwardly say,
right, we're
going to arrest Black people. But what we are going to say is we're going to arrest criminals as it relates to drug use, which was heroin and crack cocaine.
Yes,
crack,
there was.
Right, which they directly put in the news was related to all these Black people. Yes. And that was the propaganda. And so Black people became criminals.
They police urban systems. Yes, slaves were in the South the means for the economy. They thrived the economy. And when the third when
literally built the fucking country.
Right. And when they passed the law, when they ended slavery, right? The South, they took a huge cut in the economy because, you know, we were free. So they had to put something in place, the Constitution, they had to put something in the law for them to be able to take that back from us again. And that's what happened. They started, you know, giving us all these low charges for nothing, for loitering and for littering and making us slaves again. And I mean, they said in the 13th, like, that's
making you slaves, but calling you criminals.
Right. It's the same thing, right?
But then you get to be able to be treated like a slave.
We are slaves. That's it. There's no freedom. Like after that, and I mean, you see it in the same thing. It's like Meek Mills, and they put them on. How you have no record, get arrested, and then get put in on probation for like what 11 years or something like that. Like what?
Well, and then you get caught doing something wrong on probation. The 3 strikes, you're in prison for the rest of your life.
It's a cycle, perpetuates.
So, okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Talk more about like your own personal experience, if that's cool.
Definitely.
And by the way, you said your ancestors were slaves, or excuse me, you said your ancestors were from Africa.
For sure.
Were they slaves?
From what my parents have told me, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I couldn't give you exact details, but yes.
Okay. And you grew up in Philadelphia and you went to Catholic school, correct?
Yep. I went to an all-boys private Catholic school.
All-boys private Catholic school, and you were one of a handful of Black kids, you told me.
Yeah, definitely.
At what age did you notice you were different?
When you say different, what do you mean?
At what age did you notice that you were one of a handful of Black kids?
Oh, I mean,
what age were you consciously aware of it?
Maybe like 8th grade.
Oh, that's like 13, 14.
7th, 8th grade. Yeah. I just like, I knew there wasn't like a lot of Black kids where I went, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. Cause again, I wasn't, go ahead.
No, please. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just like when I would go back to my house, like I wasn't seeing that.
Well, but we're not born. I mean, that is proof in the fucking pudding. We're not born racist.
Hell no.
It's taught. So as kids, we don't see it.
No, I really didn't. Like I hung out with my friends and they were Black and white. And it just, like I said, my personal story. I was going to school and living in a place where those places were not policed like that. Like I didn't see that. And my parents, you know, I didn't see that.
Now, and before I go farther, I just want to go back and like maybe call myself out. I said, when did you feel different? And you said, what do you mean different?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
let's talk about that. Like, was that, and I need to call myself out sometimes too. No, like really, this is the work.
But for sure.
So how did that feel when I said that?
Like different, like exactly what you think it means. Like
wait, whoa.
Like, yeah, like why I gotta be different? Like, what do you mean by the word different?
So how could I have, because I don't, maybe, that's not how I feel. And I literally just meant like, when did you notice that like your skin color meant something?
Maybe, yeah. When did I notice that people looked at me, that there were people who
looked at you differently
because of my skin color.
But not that you were different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I said, yeah, it was about that time.
It's literally just being conscious of the words I'm saying and make sure that what I'm saying is truly what I mean and not something else.
That's important.
Because what I really mean is, when did other people start looking at you differently? Not when did you realize you were different?
I was different, right?
Yeah, it's such a different question.
Because I'm not different.
Right, and that's not what I meant.
I know, for sure.
But that is what I said.
Yeah.
And that's probably what people say over and over. And that is like the subtle things that's not so subtle. And one time someone says it to you after it's been said 50 fucking times, and you're like, come on.
Yeah, like how many times I gotta tell you, like, I'm not different. And that's when that's when you start to just get irks, like, you know.
So thanks for going into that with me.
Oh, for sure.
And also want to acknowledge I saw you not wanting to make it a thing.
What?
When I said, what was that? And you're like, nah, it's cool. But like, you have permit, like.
That was just me, like being who I am.
Sure, but there was something that I saw instantly and you were like,
oh, for sure. But see, that's what I'm saying. So to go back to a prior point.
Yeah.
Like with my white friends, like they would say something like that. That's when I say it's important to just inform them. Because for instance, like we're just having a dialogue, we're having a conversation, and it's the same thing if I were to be doing the same thing with one of my white brothers, right? One of my white boys. If they were to say something like that, like it just quit. You don't have to say it in a negative way. Like you don't have to jump back in like a mad way. You could just educate them. Like just like you caught it is the same thing they would do.
Yep.
And that's it. That's important.
Absolutely. And I think that like if we really care about each other just being friends, like obviously you would hear that out.
Right.
If the intention is true and genuine.
Exactly. If you care to educate yourself, which is the only people you need to be surrounding yourself around anyway.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you were in this, and I'm just gonna like change the size of the Facebook so I can see if somebody's writing any live comments because I have no idea. Okay.
We got some
Birth of a Nation, Harry.
Birth of a Nation. That's it.
That is the name of it. Okay,
yo, that movie was crazy. Watch, like, oh my gosh. If you go back and watch that original movie, it just shows you the perception of Black people in America. And it's crazy.
Like, think about the title of that. Birth of a Nation. Right after the Civil Rights Movement. Supposedly was that, but like what they birthed was
of slavery,
literally just the next evolution of it.
Right? How you gonna say the end of slavery and then portray us like that?
But this just like, I mean, this brings up another topic just about like the news and brainwashing and why cults even are possible.
Yeah.
If we choose to believe it, it's true. Doesn't matter if it's true. If we choose to believe it, it's true.
Right.
So someone says something and you're watching this movie and it seems so real and we believe, okay, blindly believe it, but not actually like dig into, well, what does it mean if we actually put more police on the streets?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
like, I mean, and I mean, that's just educating yourself and really knowing what's going on, which is a fault of all of us.
Yeah, we're all sitting here saying fuck the police, but how many of us knew how little training they got before the last?
Exactly. I'm learning so many things. Honestly, and I'm sad to say this, I just like recently found out that there was 3 women who started the BLM movement a couple years ago. Like it was just 3 women who started that, and I truly didn't know that. Clearly, obviously I know about the BLM movement, but to know that I want to know who these 3 women are.
Badass
queens. Yes.
Your sisters.
My sisters. Which is crazy.
It's amazing.
To even think about that. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, that brings up a whole other topic. Gender and Black women and all of the whole like shebang that comes with being a strong, powerful Black woman, let alone a powerful woman in general.
Mm-hmm.
Aggressive, bitchy.
Hey, I mean,
add Black on top of it. Like, it's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and that's what I have a problem with, like, just hearing like, and it might just be me because me like going off the women in my life, the Black women in my lives, but I hate just like that stereotype that like Black women are aggressive and bitchy, and Black women are powerful women. We all like powerful women, and just because that they're powerful and that they have incentive, like they got to be bitchy and
it's like a threat on so many levels.
That's what it is.
Which is
those are perfect
words.
Be. It's a threat. It's a threat to them. Oh yeah. My mother told me when I was young. They said the biggest threat to she told me the biggest threat to the white man is seeing a Black man in a suit. And Like, for real.
Damn. I mean, I feel like that goes back to what we were talking about at lunch, which was like, or I don't know when it was, sometime this afternoon, about like, okay, white people, like, we just have to be really willing to give up our privilege for true transformation.
Definitely.
And that's why that's the biggest threat.
For sure.
Because, oh, you're going to take my job?
It's the power, right?
No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
But why not? If you're more qualified for the job.
Because people don't think like that. People,
of course not.
You know, people got bills to pay. I get like,
but that's where that. I mean, that's the stem of racism is economics. Unfortunately,
sure.
It's about making one group be like, hey, we're better. We're going to have more money, and we're going to be in control of you.
It's the power. It's the elite. It's the elite class. For sure. I mean, and it trickles down through everything, through taxes, through everything.
So I think that's the real question we need to ask ourselves as white people is,
I mean,
are we actually willing to give up some privilege?
I just want to see more involvement and I just want to feel like, you know, I'm the same. I want to feel like I can be pulled over by a white cop and not have to be scared. I want to feel like I can go in a restaurant with whatever outfit I'm wearing and not, you know, looked at like oh shit, like, you know what I'm saying? I want to.
So I was going to ask you, actually,
be looked at as an equal. And
right. You mentioned your tattoos earlier.
Oh, for sure.
And I wanted to ask you about your tattoos when we were walking, because I mean, I love tattoos personally, and I actually was talking last night about this, like how I realized what a privilege it is as a white person last night that I made a career out of being like, you know, I'm in sales, or I was for a while. I was told by my bosses, like, Jamie, because I had my nose double pierced, my lip pierced, my tongue pierced, I had pink in my hair. Right. And I was told, you're going to sell more if you just take all that out. Right. And I'm like, no, fuck the system. Like, I'm going to do what I want. Yeah. I never realized how privileged that was, because my friend who is Black was talking to me about how, like, basically, if a white woman has purple hair or pink hair, they're like artistic. For sure. But if a Black woman has it, they're ghetto. Yeah, they're ghetto. For sure. And in that, I was like, whoa, like, what privilege was that I had to be like, fuck the system? Because she didn't get that opportunity. She's not even going to get the interview. Like, exactly. Like, what? Does she, like, no. Let alone they get to say yes or no to the sale. She doesn't even get to have the meeting to be able to present it. So I have tattoos. Whether or not she has the qualifications either, which sucks, which is crazy. Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah. Sometimes even just looking at a name is enough. For sure. This is part of what the work that I did in diversity and inclusion. And then there was this whole thing about like, well, let's just not show names, period. But then that adds a whole other, like, I mean, there's a lot of things there. But with your tattoos, I mean, did you ever... I'm like, what's the actual question I want to ask? I don't know what the actual question I want to ask was. I was just thinking about you having tattoos and us being out and just thinking about the conversations recently in the world and like how like there is a stereotype for sure instantly. And I guess I'm curious to know how you feel walking around. And I say that like knowing like I personally don't give a fuck. I was gonna say, you know what I'm gonna say, but I know that so many other people do, right? And so I'm wondering, like, but yeah. And I can't harp this like Black and I'm proud thing enough. Like, for real though, it goes down to like everything we do. Like, I'll go out, like, I know that I might not be the biggest dude in the world, but you know what I'm saying, I got a semi-decent body, I got tattoos. Like, I love going out in public and wearing short shorts and a tank top and like, yeah, and showing my tattoos because of that factor. Because like, yo, I'm Black and I'm proud. It's literally instilled in my brain. Like, I'm Black and I'm proud, period. But I mean, I notice it. I mean, it's to the point where, I mean, I'm comfortable with who I am and I'm not going to change for anybody. So even, you know, personally in my life, if someone were to say something racist, I'm
taking it off the chin. And like, obviously I'm gonna say something back, try to educate them. But if I'm not gonna fight somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because
what does that mean, taking it off the chin?
Taking it off the chin, like,
like I'm sorry, I don't know.
It's like
I'm not
it's
up
like
with
this.
the cool kids.
No, it's like this. Like saying whatever, not even letting it get to you.
And then there's a part of me that's like, but tell them because I need to know.
Sure.
But that's not your fucking responsibility.
I mean, it's
not.
It's circumstantial.
And you should be able to go live your life.
It's circumstantial. Again, if I'm on the street, I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've been on the street and people, will drive by and say some racist shit, or walk by and say some racist shit. I mean, that's just who I am. If you walk by and say some racist shit, I'm gonna say something to you.
Okay, good.
But for sure.
Okay, good.
For sure. Especially if it's a guy. But like, again, though, I got to think about that situation though, right?
Yeah, you're right.
If somebody walks by me, and my first reaction, especially if it's a dude, if it's a white dude, if it's a white male that walks by me and calls me a nigga, right? My first instincts, I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. And if he says it, I'm gonna hit him. But like, I honestly have to think about that a lot. Because if that happens,
if you hit him,
I hit him, there's so many circumstances that could come. He could press charges, the cops come. And if it's me again, if I'm standing there, looking at me and it's a white dude, you know what I'm saying? You know who's going to jail. It's not even a question. And that's so sad.
It is.
And he knows it. The boy that said it, I know it, and the cop knows it. Like, that's what gives us that fire.
Oh yeah, right, and now. I can feel that because it's like you're in chains.
Yeah, it's not freedom. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not freedom.
Whoa. Sorry, just like got the gravity of what I just said.
Like that's not looked at as equal. Period.
Yeah, you don't actually get the freedom of speech.
No, hell no.
Huh. Whoa.
Like, no. You can watch any I know the media is whatever, it publishes whatever it wants to. But like, if you look at all of them, like it's like we don't say much.
Damn.
We're sitting there trying to tell them we know our rights, but they keep doing it, It doesn't matter. And that's what needs the fuck to be changed.
Yeah, wow. Sorry, like that just hit me in a different way. Okay.
Let's look at these comments. What do they say?
No, it's just people watching. We had the one comment from Harry. So sure. Yeah, by the way, anybody that's watching, there's only 2 of you live now. Please feel free. Questions, comments.
Yeah.
Put them in there. We are watching. Okay, so you said you know that, the white guy knows that, and the cop knows that.
Yeah.
You grew up with your dad being a DA.
Yeah, he's not the DA. He works for the DA.
Works for the DA.
Mm-hmm.
And other people in law enforcement and lawyers. Mm-hmm. I mean, in your family, you told me your mom and dad both Black.
Yeah, definitely.
Did they know it in the same way as cops and as Black? Like, did you ever talk to them about being cops? And by the way, do you talk to them now?
Definitely. It's a lot more now. And excuse me. No slash or no hate like towards my parents. I'm not trying to say anything bad about, the way I was raised. Because I was raised very well, and I was very taken care of. I was very loved. And definitely there were times where they would speak to me more about that, about, injustice and because I was Black. I feel like my family, it was more about just, they were preaching to me how important it was to be Black, as opposed to them like really explaining why,
Interesting.
Yeah. And
do you know the why now?
Honestly, not really. I feel like they just know I get it now, that they don't need to say anything. I know how I mean, my father was raised in South Jamaica, Queens, New York, and he's an attorney now, and I know how much he was raised in like a gang infested neighborhood. I know what he had to go through. I know what that was like being a black guy back, especially back in that time, in those times in New York. Like, I get it. I mean, obviously I don't get it, but I get it being black, but I wasn't there. Um, but knowing what I know now, and thinking about the way my father and my mother chose to raise me, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe I would have done things differently. Maybe I wouldn't. I can't put myself in their shoes. Um, but trust me, myself, if I'm ever blessed enough to have kids, like, they will know. They'll everything. Why? What happened? Why they need to act the way? How to conduct themselves? Everything. But yeah, I mean, I'm an only child as well. Maybe that's something I should have pointed out in the past. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm an only
interesting.
child. I'm an only child. So again, like, I was raised in a different. I was just raised in a different way. They put me around certain people to make sure I had the best possible outcome to succeed. And but now, like, I'm getting it now that they succeeded in doing that, and I'm educated, and now I realize that I have those platforms to be able to, and I have access to certain people through going to school and things like that,
Mm.
that my brothers who I grew up on the block with don't. And like I said, like, now is my time. Like, now is my time to really try to join, to assimilate those two people, those two ideas and lifestyles.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have like almost a responsibility is like the only
Facts.
word I can think of because you have an access into the white community.
Definitely. Yes.
Both.
Mm-hmm.
What an interesting position to be in.
Right. Oh yeah. And
Oh my God.
yeah. And it sucks that it's taking this time for me to like invest everything I have into it. But I'm like, I notice it. I'm not gonna let that go to waste. And that's why I've just I'm gonna become more active in a different way, more outspoken.
So what clicked for you this time? And I ask that because, like, I know as a white person,
Mm-hmm.
what clicked for me differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to say as a white person. I'm going to say just as Jamie.
Yeah.
What clicked for me, I mean, is seeing a person get lynched in broad fucking daylight.
Oh yeah.
And that, I mean, that shook me to my core. And that's that. The second I saw that, I was like, what? That's what did it for me. Because that was different than like somebody just shooting somebody.
Right.
Because to me, it's like you're with the person.
Right.
In that moment, there is hate in that for me. So that struck a chord, but like, you are a Black person.
Right. And that hits different.
But yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. It's different in that regard. But I mean, like, what about this specific time? Because this is not the first.
Nah.
Clearly.
It's definitely not the first.
Something struck you different right now.
It just got to a point. It just got to a point where you see so many stories over and over and over and over again. And it's just, it gets to a point where it's just like, okay, they want us to be stand-up model citizens and and pay taxes and continue to just live, as Americans. And when we can't even, like, that's bullshit. Like, we've never been looked at as equal. And how you gonna tell us to live up like a normal, act like a white person, but you're not treating us like that? Like, you've been killing us our whole lives, and you want us to just like stop? Like, you want us to just give in? Like, that's not gonna happen. And I felt like there's been so many brutal like cases like that, with like the knee on his neck, and I feel like Yeah. I saw a sign the other day. It was like, how many videos, how many stories like aren't videos? How many instances aren't videoed? And it's true. We know of so many, and how many just aren't, shot, which is
That's not new. It's just being
no,
recorded, like
right.
Will Smith said. I mean,
It just got to a point where we're fed up. It's done. It's a wrap. We're not going to sit here and act like it's cool.
Good. Don't.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But also, like, do you think that the coronavirus and the the disparity between the Black community and the white community and the deaths and all of that and the hospitals and the healthcare, did that add to it? And why did you just say, oh shit?
I mean, because I don't know a lot about the corona. I know there's so many like.
Oh, you're like, don't ask me a question.
I know there's so many like little
so
stories about how the corona.
So there's a lot of data out right now about how the Black community is dying and being affected in disproportionate rates.
Okay.
To white people in America.
Okay.
Looking at
are they specifically saying it's because of the corona?
The coronavirus is affecting all of us, but what they're saying is the coronavirus is disproportionately affecting Black communities.
Got you.
Because of lack of healthcare, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. If you're an hourly worker,
yeah, I mean,
right, and then you think about like Black communities in the South, and like that's where like the hotspots are right now,
for sure.
And that was happening, right, and coming out in the news, and then this. I mean, it was just like.
I mean, yeah. I mean. Again, I don't know a lot about the coronavirus, but I mean, if there's predominantly African American, populations, and they're getting sick, and they're telling us they don't have the resources to be able to like treat people, that's it. What are we supposed to do? They're not going to give us the medicine.
There's so many layers to the healthcare system, but okay, let's not get too into that. Okay, so rewind. Going back to now, right? You're like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going to step in.
Like, yeah.
I can feel that from you.
For sure.
What do you want to happen? And what are you, what's the biggest reason that you're going to the protest, right?
Mm-hmm. Me personally, everybody's obviously, got their own personal reasons. I mean, it's all under one umbrella. I want to be treated as an equal. I want to
as a full-on human as you are.
Exactly.
It's not funny. Sorry.
No.
But it's so basic.
It's not a basic concept.
Somehow complicated
because of the money, because of these codes, these police codes and money that, that I want us to stop being killed for no reason. And I want us to, and obviously this might take a long time, but just overall, like I want Black people to be looked at as the same. Like I want to go into a job with the same qualifications with a white person and know that it doesn't matter what my skin looks like.
Amen.
I want to,
literally just be seen as a whole human.
Just be seen as a fucking person. Like it's not hard. It's not a hard concept.
No, and you're not asking for a lot.
No,
basic.
I want police to be
rights,
brought down.
Rights.
Yeah, I want police to be put in jail for just as long as they put us. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. They how long did it take them to arrest those cops? Damn well if the situations were reversed,
complicity.
Exactly.
We were talking about that. You're in jail. You're a Black person. You see something and they see you on camera. Boom, that's it. You got more time on you.
Right.
But the cops can get a week or two to just be free.
It doesn't make sense.
After doing that, it's crazy.
There's people in jail, during that whole war on drugs thing.
We need more light on you guys. Oh, Connor, I can't fix it. It's because of the backlight behind us.
Oh, shoot.
Sorry.
No, no worries. There's there's so many people in jail, and that's what the system was started, that war on drugs. Like, they put so many people in jail for little ass offenses, for having like the smallest amount of weed on them.
Okay, well, that was the thing that 13th was saying. Like, there's more Black Americans in prison right now than there were slaves.
Doesn't make sense. It's, what is it? This is back in 2016. It was 5. We make so it's 5%. What is it? What was it? It was,
I think around 10% of the population, but around like 40%.
Exactly.
In
the wild, yes, the wild.
It's crazy.
The U.S. had 5% of the world's population, but it's 25%.
Oh, of the entire 25% people incarcerated. Yeah, I mean, well, our prison systems are for profit.
That's it. But it's all. I mean, it's mostly African Americans. That's what we talk about, policing these urban areas, because there obviously is going to be us, because there's more cops. They're going to book us for having a G of weed in our pocket, and now we're in the system. We don't have 10 G's or 5 G's to get us bailed out.
And who's profiting off of all of the like weed companies right now, the big ones?
Yo, weed is an essential business now.
It's crazy.
Like, it doesn't. Are you fucking kidding me?
And there are people in prison for life.
For life off that shit. Who got put in jail on that, and something happened to where they couldn't, they got in an incident in prison. Prison's real. Like, I can tell you some stories that my family members have told me about prison, and my friends that I've known have been in prison, and that shit is a whole nother world.
I think that you even saying that is telling, because the statistic is 1 in 3 Black men will have some sort of incident with law enforcement. I don't know anybody in my family or friends that are in prison or have been. You do.
Definitely.
Do you know any of your Black friends that don't know somebody?
I may know one. And the one person I'm thinking of was born just like me, was raised just like me in a very
predominantly white community.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that is fucking telling.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's weird. That's not the right word. Rare is the word. Rare when somebody's like, oh yeah, I know someone, and I'm like, what? But kind of normal.
See, that's crazy though. Like you said, you would like be shocked if somebody told you that they knew somebody in prison.
Yeah, that would be, I'm like, what? Like that is so out of my world of normal.
Oh yeah, nah. I know a bunch of people in prison. I got so many friends who are literally paying like their friends' books, or putting money on their friends' books so they can get shit in prison.
Yeah, that is a check in my privilege right there.
Yeah.
And by that I mean like I'm checking my privilege, not like yeah, I mean, it's just like we're all living in the US, but we're living in very different worlds.
For sure.
Definitely. And it is not okay.
Definitely. And yeah, not enough people know that. No.
That's why we're talking about it.
That's why we're talking about
it. So we were kind of talking about this earlier, and just, we'll wrap it up here soon. How do you feel about, How do you feel about the protest and what's happening now and the movement? I mean, do you think does it feel different? Is something really going to happen? Like,
yes.
How do you feel as a Black person in America today, June 10th, 2020 versus May 10th, 2020, for example?
And obviously this is only the beginning, but I feel I'm already starting to feel a teeny bit, more equal. I especially, and again, I'm only talking about this whole interview is only, from my personal being, but from what we see in Denver, obviously Denver is majority white, and it's just from what the dialogues, the conversation that I've had with my African American friends, it's absolutely amazing to see this much support. Like everyone, you can't, for the last 2 weeks. I cannot go on social media without the first thing I'm seeing. 90% of my feed is talking about Black Lives Matter and this movement and injustice. And that's what people need to see. And it's funny, and I'll be honest, like I was having this conversation with one of my African American friends, and he was like, Jonny, like, how long do you think like the protests are gonna last, and the marches are gonna last? Who knows? But I'm with it. There's been so many protests, and I forget, don't quote me on specific numbers, but there's been so many protests and gathering and boycotts, through the civil rights movement that have lasted for so long, hundreds of days. So, and if that's what it takes, let's do it.
Yes. I honestly, I don't think it's gonna stop anytime soon.
No, it just shouldn't.
And I'm kind of like happy and hopeful for that.
No, yes, I love that. Yes, it shouldn't stop until we see something has changed. Until we see, like, what happened yesterday. The Denver
SB.
The police. She created some bill or some
SB 12, I think.
Yes.
But I think at 2 p.m. today, it was like when it was like officially. Actually, we should check the news.
We should check
see
that.
What's up.
Which is huge. Yeah.
Denver was. I mean, one of our good friends has been working on this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just there is I think a greater majority that's actually fighting the fight right now than fighting against it.
I can't find it. Yeah. That you said that there's
a greater majority fighting the fight than fighting
against. Yes.
Do you feel that?
200%. 200%.
And that's pretty fucking cool.
Yes. I feel like the ignorant people, the people who, like you said, like giving up that white privilege, I feel like the people who are the most reluctant to do that are actually seeing like why they're wrong, and that they need to change, and that one day the world will be different.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, it's been, I mean, that's all I got. I could ask you
for sure.
We'll talk about 1,000 more things, obviously, but is there anything else that you'd like to say on the record? Anybody that might be watching or will watch this about racism in America, about your experience living in America, or about anything? I mean, yeah.
About life.
It's your time.
We have one life, y'all, and make a difference. Put some purpose to your life. My Black brothers and sisters, stand up. Right now is the time. Right now is the time to truly make a difference. This is history that's happening. Create your legacy. And for my white friends, like, educate. Use this time to listen and educate. Your other white friends, and because that's what's needed, and that's it. Right to your government, try to get laws changed, and really stand up for yourself and who you are right now.
Who
are
Black you?
Lives Matter.
All Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Say that too.
Yes.
Trans Black Lives Matter.
All
female Black Lives Matter.
All Black Lives
all
Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
I just have to say that because it's Pride Month. I can't help myself.
Love it.
Shit. What the fuck was I? Oh yeah. Also, I got to give Jonny an opportunity to talk about what he does. So for anybody that's listening, what do you do?
Definitely. So
how can they find you?
I'm a musician. I sing. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I'm gonna stop you. Can we get a little bit of that voice?
Oh my
right
God,
now,
I knew you was gonna say that.
Yeah.
I knew you was gonna put me on the spot.
I am.
All right. I'll sing a John Legend song because that's my man. It's called Slow Dance. It's Can we wait just a minute? Slow it down for a minute now, baby. We're talking loud, we're wildin' now. Don't seem like my old lady. Let's go and play the songs we used to play. Can we reignite the flame? 'cause things just ain't the same. We can talk about the baby. We can talk until we crazy. We can focus on it now, or we can focus on it later. Yeah, I forget the words, but yeah, you got it. You got it.
Stop.
You got it. I forget the words.
So good.
Oh yeah.
Hot damn.
Mm.
You just turn it on like that. It's so good. Okay, so yeah, Jonny's a singer. How can they find you?
I am in a duo group called Philo. It's a bluesy electronic group. PHIILO. Yeah, new EP coming out. It's gonna be dope. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much for sharing so generously and graciously with
Definitely.
us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna turn it on. All right, bye everyone. Oh, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the One World, Your Story podcast. If you enjoyed hearing this story and you wish to hear more, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube, and of course, follow us on Instagram at One World, Your Story. From all of us here at the One World, Your Story podcast, we are sending you so much joy and love. Have a wonderful rest of your day.